Hey everyone, I'm Sherry, the Organic Pet Lady and the host of Pet Prep Radio. I extend a hearty welcome to everyone attending Autumnfest 2015. For those of you who don't know what Pet Prep Radio is all about, it's a show that's geared toward helping pets and their people live a more healthy and happy life, offering alternative ways of living, healing, and so much more. Our shows can be found on the archives section at American Preppers Radio Network, iTunes, and soon to be uploaded on our YouTube channel, Pet Prep Radio. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest too. New shows are coming and a new website, so make sure that you check us out. Pick up a flyer from Peggy Sue, Glenn, or one of the many amazing volunteers here at Autumnfest 2015. I'm here today to share with you a series of interviews from my radio show with a dear friend and awesome human being who is also a human doing, Rick Simpson, whom many of you may be familiar with. Rick Simpson is the godfather of the cannabis hemp oil movement, who discovered how to make the essential oil from the cannabis hemp plant and used it to heal himself, his family, and countless thousands of others. You may have seen his movie on YouTube titled Run from the Cure, and if you haven't, you certainly should make the time to watch it. It changed my life. Rick and I, with my special guest Brian Yell, who is also a guest speaker here at Autumnfest 2015, were scheduled to do an interview for this event specifically, but due to Rick Simpson being in India, there were too many difficulties due to lack of internet and phone access, as well as the 9.5-hour time difference, not to mention that giant storm that's going on. So it just wasn't possible to get it done. I do have to say, though, we did give it the old college try. In interview number 1, we'll discuss an intro to a 3-part series about hemp oil, healing people and pets, and some of the issues surrounding this topic. So sit back and don't miss a single minute of the pre-recorded shows. You will be able to access each of these shows later if you care to hear them again. Be sure to pick up some info from Glenn or Peggy Sue before you leave, and be sure to tell us here at Pet Prep Radio Show what you thought. Enjoy the interview.
Pet Prep Radio with Sherry, the Organic Pet Lady, is on the air. Tune in for a show loaded with information on preparedness for pets and their people too. If you're an animal lover, then this is the show for you. And now, the host of Pet Prep Radio, Sherry, the Organic Pet Lady.
Welcome to the Pet Prep Radio Show. This is Sherry, the Organic Pet Lady, welcoming you back for another crazy cool hour with my guests and my pets. And I hope you're enjoying your day. And if it's just been a tough day for you, I'll tell you, it's just been weeks of constant, oh my gosh, why does everything have to be so dang hard kind of thing. So I hope you grab a cool one, whatever it is, and sit back and relax, kick your feet up, and spend another hour with me. And my guest, Rick Simpson, is back with us for a second show. So hang on to your hats. You might want to, get into some comfy clothes and just kind of listen and get ready to share this with your friends and family, because everything we're going to talk about anytime Rick joins us, what a great soul. He's always giving us some great insight. So welcome to the show. Yes, me again. The cats have abandoned me. The cats have abandoned me, Rick.
I'm happy to be back with you, Sherry.
Yeah, Rick, I'm so glad you're here. One thing I want to be certain of is to let everybody know that the opinions that you and I express may or may not be the opinions of the network that we're airing the Pet Prep Radio Show on. And if you have any questions, be sure to contact either Rick or I, because Rick is the authority on the oil, and we're happy to be there for you. But don't just do something and then blame us because you messed up. So that's basically the long and the short of that. So what on earth? I see a cat stepped on one of my cats stepped on something and turned the VCR. Well, let me tell you, we're having so much fun here. It's almost a sin. So
nobody will ever accuse us of being organized.
Well, you know what they say: an organized house is a sign of a sick mind. So last time you were with us, we got to learn a lot of really interesting background on your journey and how you discovered the essential oil, which I like to call it that. I think the essential oil of the cannabis plant. This program might not be suitable for small children, but let me tell you, I think the essential oil is suitable for everyone. And I hope that folks, you just won't get your dander up, but you'll keep your mind open about this wonderful, wonderful plant that Rick and I are talking about, and that is the cannabis plant, also known as hemp.
And marijuana.
Yeah, unfortunately, we even talked about that a little bit, and how it's kind of been demonized, it's been totally demonized, and how people end up in jail for years over a healing plant that's being used that never kills anyone, although it's okay to drink alcohol and go out and kill your family, apparently. It doesn't make any sense. And we had a discussion about the ridiculous. It's just so ridiculous. It makes no sense. The way things are. So last time we decided that we might talk a little bit more about the experience of the oil and pets. And I was thinking, I've seen several testimonies on Facebook by folks that have been using the oil with their animals from your Facebook page. So I would love for you to share with us your thoughts about the oil and pets and how you use it and stuff like that. And we have like 20 minutes, so let's go for it.
Well, I think it's actually essential that the human race should be on this oil, and also our pets. It's really that simple, because this oil is truly the greatest healing substance on the planet. It's a great shame that we have allowed all this corruption in our governments to demonize this plant, because if you actually look into, if you do any research at all into this subject, you're going to find out everything I'm telling the public is the truth. This is the greatest medicine on earth. It's harmless, non-addictive, and from what I've seen, most pets just love it, especially dogs. Now, cats, they can be a little indifferent. Cats are kind of strange critters. Some of them like to take it and other ones don't. But for the most part, what I've seen with dogs, they just love the oil. And, there's no real harm factor here. When I was treating my dog, I started the dog off with 1/4 gram per dose, which would be a very heavy dose for a human to start off with. But, animals don't... they don't have all the inhibitions, and they haven't listened to all the propaganda, and their senses are so keen that, they know what's good for them. And when they get on this oil, just miraculous things, happen. Often terminal cancers in animals are cured, in a week and a half to 2 weeks. And it's great for, like joint pain, because a lot of dogs and things like that, especially the larger dogs, they have hip problems and whatnot as they age. And this is the greatest anti-inflammatory on the planet. So it basically just rejuvenates your pets, to an extent that seems almost unbelievable. But I really do firmly believe that our pets could live much longer, and they would be much healthier if they were taking this oil. I'm truly concerned today about like the state that our pets are in. With the animal feed that's available in these stores. I don't feel it's even safe for a pet to eat that. When I grew up, we fed our cats and dogs, from table scraps, and they were healthy. Today, from what I understand, about 70 or 80% of what's in these pet foods is sawdust and garbage like that. So, I mean, there's no possible way that could be good for an animal. And on top of that, I mean, they're living in the same poisoned environment that we are, and animals are getting many, many more health problems, the same as humans. So, I think this is a very rational solution to anyone who is concerned about their animals.
Rick, I think that's a very good point. I'm in different groups on Facebook and stuff, and I probably spend too much time on Facebook, but when I'm hurting because I'm not yet able to acquire or make the oil yet, and it drives me nuts, trust me. I see the different conversations that go on, and one of those conversations was just the other day in a German Shepherd dog breeders group, and there's this one person who just likes to get my goat all the time. She has to disagree with everything I say. We were talking about food and environment and all these things as it related to cancer. The question was posed to the group that someone had a friend with a dog that had very rare bloodlines who was basically the last in line. And he was just diagnosed with lung cancer. Should they still breed him? And I said, yeah, because cancer is not necessarily genetic. And everybody got angry.
Well, what you're stating is absolutely true. I mean, most of the cancers that both humans and animals are suffering from today, they're not caused by genetics. They're caused by our environment. The very air we breathe, the food we eat, and practically everything that surrounds us. This is what's causing the cancer. So anybody that would say, go against that statement, I think they have a lot to learn.
Yeah, it's difficult, because, they write for a column in a pretty well-known website, and they aren't interested in listening to the toxic environment factors. Of course, the food, the vaccinations with the carriers of the vaccines themselves. That is actually why now veterinarians actually vaccinate cats and dogs in their leg and their tails now, so that they can easily be amputated, because they do tend to grow cancerous tumors at the injection site. And this is all proven information. People, if you don't want to take my word for it or Rick's word for it, I seriously encourage you, instead of letting me do all the talking, why don't you let your fingers do the walking and get look it up. It's there for you to see. And
I would completely agree, dear. I mean, if I had a new pup today, I would just, give it some oil. I wouldn't have it vaccinated. I wouldn't go through the traditional nonsense that we've been putting our pets through, because I don't think any of it's beneficial. And it's like I've said, I think if you took a young pup and you put it on the oil, well, that pup might live to be 30 or 40 years old. So, I mean, basically, I turn my back on the medical system, and I think really what a lot of veterinarians are doing is just horrendous, because they're giving animals chemotherapy the same as the doctors are giving humans, the same insane treatments, and to me, that's just lunacy. I've treated many, many animals with cancer, and this works so wonderfully, and it's harmless. I remember one gentleman came to me. His dog had been diagnosed by 2 vets as having cancer, of course, and one vet even told him that he never seen blood like this in a living animal. The dog was that far gone. And we put the dog on the oil. Within a week, it was eating again and traveling with its master. And I had to laugh at the reaction of the gentleman. He came back to my home about 2 months later, and he had the dog with him. And when he walked in, he said, I just came from the vet. They can detect no cancer whatsoever. And he looked at me and he said, I think we've been lied to. And I just smiled at him and I said, now you're getting the picture.
It's so difficult. That brings tears to my eyes, because I know how important my animals are to me. And, people call me, the rough and tough people that like to beat their animals and, exert their control and domination over animals. Call me a bunny hugger, but I don't agree. I believe animals have feelings and thoughts and an intuition that's given to them. They have a soul. I believe they help us heal. I believe they're therapists. And a lot of the physical effects from owning cats and dogs and horses have proven medically and spiritually that they do have an extremely positive effect on us. So to me, without my dog right now, she's technically an emotional support dog, but I'm training her to help me with my physical disabilities at the moment until I can get into the essential oils to help me get better and get back to where I need to be. And I think that a lot of people, they just don't understand or want to understand, or they feel frightened because it is not legal to explore these things. They feel more comfortable in their own reality rather than looking for. They're just, okay, well, this is the way it's done, and this is the way it should be, and I can't try anything new. And I want people to feel like they do have a choice, and if it means being an outlaw in order to be well, then you're going to have to resist bad laws. There's nothing wrong with resisting laws that are bad, and going about changing those laws in a intelligent, respectful. Sometimes you have to stand against things. Not just because there's a law that's made doesn't mean it's a good law.
Well, under God's law, I mean,
right.
Healing yourself and your animals is, with hemp is perfectly acceptable. I mean, according to God's law, but
right.
according to this insane admiralty law we have, which is really just corporate justice. It's all about money. There's no real justice involved. I mean, I've said this many times. You'll never find justice in any courtroom in Canada. And I think that's basically the same in any country, because it's really not about justice. It's just a corporate thing to these people. It's all about the money, and that's a lot of the reason why they talk a different language than we do when we go into court. I mean, I've sat in courts. Now, how many people understand what they're even saying? And it goes the same with doctors. Go to your doctor, and they'll give you the biggest pile of mumbo-jumbo, big words, and half the time I don't even think they understand what they're saying. I've come to the point now when somebody tells me, about experts, believe me, I've come to put a lot of doubt in the opinions of experts, because for the most part, what I've seen, they don't seem to know a damn thing about what they're talking about. It's that simple. And I see these doctors and vets and all the rest of them. Do these people actually believe that poison chemotherapy could be good for an animal? I mean, if it's so good for an animal, why aren't these wonderful veterinarians and doctors, why aren't they taking it? There's the insanity in our system. And in truth, over 80% of oncologists, I mean, that's cancer doctors, over 80% of them will not even take their own treatments. But they'll give them to us, and they will give these treatments to our pets, which I think is horrific.
I think so, too. And not only is it actually fatal in the highest percentage of cases, but it disrupts families. The first time I saw your documentary, I can't remember who turned me on to it. I saved it to my computer right away, and I watched it several times. And I sat there, and I literally sat here in sobbing tears, because I realized that back in the 70s, when my Nana was so sick that she could have been healed from cancer, the most important family member in our family who kept the one side of the family together, was being burned and basically killed, and she suffered greatly. I understand. I was young. I wasn't allowed, back in those days, children weren't allowed to go to the hospital to see this sort of thing. Everybody kept everything from you. People lied to you. They just told you what they felt like you needed to know. And that was a horrible scenario for me, because she was my Nana. I didn't care what she looked like. She's my Nana. Just let me go see her. And they said that she had horrific burns all over her from the radiation. And so I'm thinking about this as I'm watching your documentary where people that are so sick are getting well. And I got angry. I got very angry. You know, I can't recall the individual who said this, but it was in a Guns N' Roses song. They used it, and I believe it's in a movie too. And I think it was a guy, but he kind of sounded like a woman. And he said, "I'm mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore."
That was Peter Finch. Yes, and the movie was Network. And I agree with him. We should all be mad as hell, and none of us should take it anymore.
Yeah, and I'm not. Don't write to me or turn me in for saying I'm saying disobey the law. I'm telling people to be naughty. I'm just stating here that these are the feelings that I experience, and that people, you each have an individual decision to make about your life, and it is your life. It's your pet's life. It's your life, and you shouldn't rely on other people to make decisions for you, because you can't be angry if you let other people run your life.
Well, I mean, I have nothing against law and order, Sherry, at all. I mean, I've hardly been in any trouble in my life, in reality. But I mean, when it comes down to the point that you have to, I mean, these laws are, like I said, they're all based in corruption anyway. None of this makes any sense, what they've been doing. But I mean, if your life is in danger, or the life of one of your pets or loved ones, and you have a rational solution here that is harmless and non-addictive, well, then for God's sakes, damn the law. Go ahead and do it. The system is going to change in the near future, whether they like it or not, because this subject is becoming so well known now worldwide that we are going to see a new day in medicine for both our pets and ourselves. And the faster that comes about, the better it will be. I mean, it frustrates me so badly that all of these so-called experts and all these politicians and all the rest of them will stand there and keep this restriction in place. I mean, look, you take a country like Canada. I mean, when you look at all the hospitals and veterinary clinics across this country, I mean, how many animals are suffering and dying simply because they lack an effective medicine to treat them? I mean, this is what it's all about. Healing is supposed to be about healing. Instead, they've made it about money. And, I mean, I honestly say, the human race actually is its own worst enemy. And in truth, we're not just killing our animals, we're killing ourselves, because, we're not going to last much longer on this planet, at the rate we're going, because the whole environment is becoming so damn toxic. And the only way that I know that we can get rid of that toxicity is to grow this plant on a grand scale everywhere. It detoxifies the earth. It'll give us a marvelous food supply. It'll end starvation. It'll provide our energy. And it'll give us everything else that we need, essential for a healthy life. And so, for us to continue to go along, with this madness, to me, it doesn't make a lick of sense. And, I mean, if we don't stand up and do something about it ourselves, how can we expect these people that are representing us to do anything? We all know that they're a pack of criminals. I mean, this is what it's all about. When you look at, the DEA and the FDA and all these people, my God, it's a revolving door. One day somebody's working for the FDA, the next day they're working for the government, and the day after that they're in some other government organization, and before you know it, they're back at the FDA. And it's all about filling their pockets. And the DEA, they're going out staging raids just so they can confiscate people's property. And I mean, I find this truly disgusting. And I'm hoping that the end is going to come very soon for this system, because it's like I said, we can't go on like this. We need to use common sense and knowledge, to guide our future. And right now, I don't see much common sense being used.
No, and it upsets me too. The German Shepherd we had before, our Diva girl here, I took her in for a routine. I don't know, there was something going on. I can't remember what it was. And they were very upset with me because I had not yet spayed this dog. And we estimated her age to be, at that time, about 6 or 7 years old, which isn't old. in the big scheme of things, but in veterinary, it's getting there. And they called her a senior dog, and they made me feel very, very badly. And I said, well, excuse me, I'm a responsible pet owner. When she comes into season, I'm very conscientious. We have a 6-foot fence. Any dog that can scale a 6-foot fence deserves
to be bred.
Yeah. Because, wow, well, what a dog, right? So they said, stop making me feel badly. I said, you're making me feel like a criminal because I haven't spayed my dog. I said, how much are you proposing to charge me for spaying my dog? And they said, $750. And I looked at them and I said, $750? What on earth are you going to do to my dog? And they said, oh, we have to do all these tests, and then we have to do all this anesthesia tests, and blah, 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 and this and that. And I said, you know what, for $750, they said, you can keep your spay. They said, my dog will not get pregnant. And, it's all about responsibility. That's the key term. Common sense these days is almost like a superpower because everyone is sitting in front of the TV, listening to what the blah, blah, blah says. And the best thing that happened to me is that in our area, it went from analog to digital, and we couldn't afford cable anymore. And that was fine with me. It was kind of hard to get over. I couldn't believe how addicted to that box I was. But, we have DSL, so you have a world open to you. And the point is that everybody has decisions to make. And the idea is to get some wisdom. And that's why Rick and I are here to share with you about this plant. It's not evil. You have been lied to. You have been lied to. And it's time for you to get comfortable with that feeling and get some understanding. We have about 43 seconds till break. So Rick, you're going to hang out with us for the next segment, right?
Oh, yes, of course.
Absolutely. And when we come back, we'll be talking to Rick Simpson, the person who was, I don't know how he figured out how to make essential oil of cannabis hemp, but thank God for Rick. So stick around, and we love you. We love you here.
Well, believe me, necessity can make you do some very strange things, but I'm very happy I stumbled on the truth about this oil.
Me too. And when we come back, we'll be rejoining Rick. So please support our sponsors. And if you'd like to be a sponsor for Pet Prep Radio Show, be sure to contact me at petprepradioshow@gmail.com, and we'll return after this.
This broadcast is brought to you in part by Ozark Mountain Preparedness, providing top-quality instructional courses for people who desire to pursue a self-reliant lifestyle, whether in the wilds or right at home. Course topics include wilderness and urban survival, fur trapping, bushcraft, primitive skills, long-term wilderness living, land navigation, GPS, home disaster preparation, outdoor cooking, food procurement and storage, foraging wild edibles, and many others. Visit Ozark Mountain Preparedness at www.ozarkmountainpreparedness.com.
You're listening to Pet Prep Radio Show. We're so glad you could join us. Rick, life is just getting crazier and crazier. I don't know if it's supermoon or the alignment of the moon and the stars in the sky or what, but it seems like everything I'm trying to do right now, it's like stepping in mud that's way up past my knees. You know what I'm saying?
Well, a good part of the problem is, Sherry, is just like you described there. I mean, people are addicted to these damn TV sets. I mean, I shut my TV off back in 2003, and I started watching documentaries. And that educated me about the world we live in. The television and news media and papers and whatnot, they're just there to brainwash us. They're not telling us the truth about anything. You can't trust what you hear on the TV news or in newspapers anymore. So, I honestly encourage everyone, turn that damn television off and start looking into, the reality of the situation we're in, and you'll discover everything we're saying is true. I honestly think that TV was probably one of the worst discoveries that mankind ever produced because it has been instrumental in brainwashing the public worldwide, and I really think that TV is harmful, and in most respects. But they use the whole system. The big money people that actually run the planet, they use the whole system against us because, they control the governments, they control the medical system, the legal system, and it's just all based in corruption. I have no problem at all following real laws, but when they try to shove this kind of nonsense down our throats, and I never claimed that I'm the one that found the cure for cancer. I think it's been known for a very long time what this oil can do. But the only difference with me is that I'm the only one that's ever brought it forward and made the public aware of it. I actually did the job that the researchers that have been sitting there keeping their mouths shut for decades about this substance, I'm actually doing their job. And I think it's disgusting what they've done because, they've known in the United States since at least the mid-'70s about how effective this can be for cancer. And our governments have hidden it, and now they have medical patents in place on the same plant that they say has no medicinal value. We have to get rid of these corrupted politicians, and we need to get people in there representing this that are honest. And everything should be done with an open book policy. No more hidden meetings, no more of this nonsense. Governments are supposed to be working for us. So I think that, the least that we should expect is for them to be accountable. And it's just about time that, that people got up and made it this way. Because if we let these people continue to run amok, like I said, the human race and all animal life, I think, will actually go extinct in the next 20 to 30 years because we just can't live on this earth anymore. At the rate of poisoning that's going on, it'll be impossible for practically any animal to exist.
And I agree with everything that you have to say, and it is true. And I think that people are so afraid. A lot of it has been perpetuated upon the people, the fear mongering and the, don't you dare say anything because we're making examples of people that are being killed. Like we've got a bunch of U.S. Navy SEALs that are mysteriously dead after the questionable death of or convenient death of Osama bin Laden, blah blah blah. Whatever the situation may be, there's a lot of really great people being killed, and that will stand for truth and for dignity and for God and country. And so people are being frightened, and also as well as the fluoridated water and all of the pharmaceutical drugs that are being prescribed by the allopathic medical industry that, instead of finding out what the source of a health problem is, they want to cover symptoms and their side effects so they get diagnosed or they get more prescribed medications that are pharmaceutical to cover up those side effects to offset this one and that one and the other thing. So you have about 90% of the population of at least the United States. I'm not certain about Canada or any other country. If anybody's out there that has some good stats, please, hook me up with those. But, they're drugged in some way, whether it's legal or illegal drugs. Some lady in a very small town that I grew up in was just arrested in the square for selling heroin within 1,000 feet of a elementary school, and you have to worry. With heroin, it takes your body over. Your body desires it. Your mind, it's a psychological and a body high. It controls you and makes you do stupid stuff. And even to the point of neglecting everything that's holy. And the cannabis hemp has no effect like this whatsoever. And it drives me nuts that, a doctor will give someone Oxycontin or anything like that and get them hooked on that, but they will send you to the DEA for testing positive for cannabis.
Well, as I understand it, over 80% of the world's heroin supply comes from Afghanistan. And who's over there guarding those poppy fields? Could it be our soldiers? this is a sickness that's going on, but the simple truth is the biggest drug dealers on the planet are the governments themselves. I mean, it was a government agency called the CIA that flew all those plane loads full of cocaine into the U.S. from Central and South America, wasn't it? But, and this is a government agency, and they're fighting the war on drugs? It don't look that way to me.
Yeah, they're putting a lot, in law enforcement, from a law enforcement perspective, there's law enforcement against prohibition called LEAP. And, you have to look at it from the guys that do, in law enforcement, that have common sense, and their lives are at risk because of the stupidity and the idiocy of this perpetuated war on drugs. If the CIA is going to protect and grow and bring the drugs into the country and then have the DEA bust and put law enforcement officers in the line of fire of folks that are fighting basically to deal these drugs that are the drugs that, anything you can make in a bathtub, there's seriously something wrong with that. And it ruins people. And it's usually introduced in the neighborhoods of the undesirable population by the elitists that are, insanely and insidiously doing this whole plan. It's a plan.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would agree that, all these harmful substances should be taken off the street, period. And if the police were doing their job, they would not have a hard time doing it. I can go into any small town, and within 2 weeks, if I want to make it my business, I can find out who's dealing the drugs. But yet the police can't seem to figure it out. But I remember during my court case, the RCMP had their marijuana expert there. But in truth, he was little more than an idiot. He didn't even know that marijuana was hemp. What a pathetic person. But, when you listen to, what these people are spouting, it literally makes no damn sense. And and people just they just go along with it because this is a system. And of course the news media, I know all through my court case, they put a publication ban in place so that people couldn't learn the truth. And of course I don't think it would have made any difference anyway, because the news media wouldn't have reported the truth, because I know, like before my trial and all that, the news media had come and they had interviewed patients that had used the oil. And TV news had done this also, but they never showed what this medicine can do. All they talked about was whether marijuana was medicine or menace. It's all hype and sensationalism. And I think it's just about time that the human race grew up and see things for what they are. Like I said, just look at the history of this plant and show me any man, woman, or child or animal that has ever died from its effects. There's no case in history where cannabis has ever killed or harmed anyone. So right. It is all propaganda, and it is all put in place to empty our pockets. Keep their little system running, keep up the status quo, and keep us suffering and dying and addicted to their pharmaceutical garbage. That's all it's about.
Yeah, and I think it's very difficult for myself, actually. I hope I don't sound selfish, but I find it extremely difficult having to struggle with knowing that there is this wonderful plant, this solution to my problems, and without getting, without diagnosis, I can't prove that it. I'm looking for a diagnosis so I can prove when I move forward to use the essential oil that it works, because it's so important to me that I'm willing to suffer until until I can prove how great this is, because I believe in the essential oil already. I believe in it. I've seen testimony after testimony after testimony, not only on Rick's site, but also on YouTube, where the documentary is posted. It's called Run from the Cure, and it's the Rick Simpson story, and you'll find it extremely interesting. Make sure you have about an hour and a half to watch it, and make sure you have a box of Kleenex because you're going to be crying. You're going to be upset that, Aunt Susie or Uncle Joe, there was an option that they didn't know about, you didn't know about, and it's unfair to lose family members when and whether they be four-legged or furry or reptile or amphibian or mammal or otherwise or exotic, that you can heal your pets and your family and to not have known about it, and it is a betrayal. I think it's and you should be really pissed off about it. I really think
it really is a complete betrayal, dear. Because our animals, I've had dogs, through my life, and we all become so attached to our pets. They become family members, for God's sakes. But, when they go out and they take these animals to give them chemo or give our loved ones chemo, I have to put it honestly, between veterinarians and doctors, how dare they do what they're doing? They should know better. They're medical professionals. Now, any medical professional should know that poison is not good for you. That's just common sense. But they continue on this path because they're all making lots of money and they're filling their pockets. But I can tell you right now, if my mother had died, say, 6 months ago from cancer, and they'd given her chemo and killed her, or radiation, or any of the other nonsense they use, I'll tell you right now, I would not be too happy. And if anyone, any doctor ever killed my mother or someone close to me, there's a good chance that Mr. Doctor would get a baseball bat alongside the head, because that's what they need. Our medical professionals, they have no excuse. All they got to do is look at their own damn Hippocratic oath. First do no harm. But what do? They turn around and they give us chemicals, poisons, and all these insane treatments, and then they try to tell us that this is traditional medicine. There is nothing traditional about allopathic medicine. Traditional medicine is empiric medicine, medicine from plants that we have been using for thousands of years. And Jesus Christ himself used the cannabis hemp plant to heal the masses. It wasn't the power of God. It was the power of cannabinoids.
Well, I might differ with you on that one, but, I'm sure that it was a medicine that was used within the home up until it was deemed illegal in the United States in 1940-something.
Well, 700 years before Jesus, the ancient Persian religious text called the Vedad, they listed the most medicinal plants known to man. The number one plant on that list, cannabis hemp. And the holy anointing oil has been examined. They've gone through this extensively, and the holy anointing oil was full of cannabinoids.
Really?
So I don't think there's much to disagree on.
Yeah, no, not at all. And I think the next time that we get together, Rick, we can talk a little more about maybe some specifics of what you talk about in your book, and we're getting close to the end of the show. Yeah, so I would love very much for you to share with folks how they can get in touch with you and what you have to offer, and that will help you to continue to get this very important message out to people globally. And, please share with us how people can find you and how they can support you.
Well, all the information has been put up on our website. It's been up there for years at phoenixtears.ca. And we told the whole world, how to produce this medicine properly, how to take it, the dosage requirements, for humans. It's like I said, you don't have to be so careful with animals, because if you overdose on this, it's not going to harm you. As a matter of fact, I think in many cases overdosing can be beneficial, because, if the animal is close to death, the more oil you can get into it, or the faster you can get this oil into it, the better the chance the animal has of surviving. So there's no danger involved here at all. And last July, I put out an e-book called Phoenix Tears, the Rick Simpson story. And that's available on our website, too, at phoenixtears.ca. And we're just getting ready to release a second book. It's called RSO Medicine. And I think when people go through these books, and just the rough information that we have on the website, it should be enough to tell them everything they need to know, so they can heal their own pets and heal their own families. You know, I mean, it's all there. It's right in front of them. All they have to do is go to our website and spend an hour or so reading. And, you know, and like I said, you can go to PubMed. You can go to so many places, Granny Storm, Crow's List. There's so many of them out there now that, you know, that show the peer-reviewed studies that back up everything I'm saying. So, I mean, I'm not lying to anyone, because in truth, if I was, I mean, they would have defrocked me years ago. But instead, medical professionals, they tend to run the other way when I'm around, because they don't like the questions that I ask.
Yeah, and people probably don't know the right questions to ask. They feel intimidated when they see their doctor, and they're threatened, you know, by doctors. I know I feel that way. I've been threatened by doctors, told I don't know anything because I didn't go to school for 12 years, that I should just stop getting my information from the Internet. And, you know, when a doctor tells you that, run.
You're quite right, dear.
Run. But
well, I mean, you know, doctors are truly insulted if you ask them a question, because, you know, they are the all-knowing gods. Well, I can tell you right now, from what I've discovered and what I've seen this medicine do, for the most part, I don't believe that doctors know a damn thing about medicine. It's all just one great big racket. And I mean, the old days with allopathic medicine, you know, right up until the early 1900s, allopathic medicine was widely used, or not allopathic, empiric medicine was widely used, you know, medicine from plants. But then, you know, Rockefeller and that bunch, they got together, and of course they owned the poison chemical factories and all that stuff, and they took over the medical foundations and the medical schools, and they started teaching doctors allopathic medicine from poison. You know, and this is the reason we have the system we have today. Well, when you look at all these rich people, look at what they take. They don't take the allopathic trash. You know, like old Rockefeller, old John D. Rockefeller himself, he wouldn't use nothing but empiric medicine, and he lived to be about 100 years old. So I think it's truly disgusting what these rich individuals have done, and I think it's high time that we took the power and resources away from these people before they do more damage.
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. And, you know, Rick's going to join us one more time. We're going to be taping another show next week. So we will have a block of Rick Simpson coming up for you in the very near future. But we're going to be heard on the American Preppers Network, which is prepperbroadcasting.com, and the Preparedness Radio Network for these shows. So stay tuned to listen for these wonderful shows. We hope that you enjoy them. Everybody get in touch with Rick. Rick, thanks so much for being here again, and I promise next time I'll be right on time.
That's fine, dear.
Right on. And, you know, hold down the fort for us up there in Nova Scotia, and we'll be talking to you super soon. And, gosh, thank you again for joining us.
Well, I would just like to encourage people to listen to what we're saying. I mean, we have no reason to lie to you. Now, we're not making any money here. You know, if you look at the people that are lying to you, they're the ones that are making all the money. So please be aware of that fact.
Yeah, and I second that emotion. I do.
Thank you.
I do. Well, Rick. Well, everyone, this has been the Pet Rep Radio Show with Sherry, the Organic Pet Lady, and Rick Simpson, also known for his essential oil, Rick Simpson Oil, from Phoenix Tears. And we hope that you'll join us next time. Until then, make sure you hug somebody, do something good for yourself, stay away from the TV, and get healthy. And remember, if you fail to prepare, you prepare to fail. See you next time on Pet Prep Radio.
Today's broadcast has come to you through the courtesy of the Prepper Broadcasting Network. See our hosts, show schedules, archived programs, and more at prepperbroadcasting.com. Thanks for listening.
been listening to Pet Prep Radio on the Preparedness Radio Network. Tune in each time for timely tips on how to maintain your pet's health. It's all about preparedness for pets and their people, too. Questions or comments for Sherry, the Organic Pet Lady? Email Sherry at theorganicpetlive@gmail.com or visit her website at www.theorganicpet.net. Until next time, remember, preparedness saves lives.